Okay. Can you all hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay,
Yes,
Yes, we
we can
awesome.
can
hear
hear
you.
you.
Okay. Okay. Great, great, great. A minute, 1 minute. Okay, great. I was having some Bluetooth interference, so I wanted to take care of that before so it gets things off. Let me start by apologizing for last class. It was so brief. It's because something came up that I wasn't expecting. I forgot, not like I was not expecting. I forgot about it. I had an appointment for a panel call, and then I had a lot of things and I couldn't track my progress. So that's why it was so brief. But let's just have a reminder of what we've talked about so far. I was having a good conversation last week with Jasmine. That was last the other day with, is it Jamin? Jamin, yes. Jamin, are you there? Is Jamin
Life, I
there?
am there. I'm getting you.
Awesome, awesome. You
Yes, it's
remember we
Jamin.
Jamin, okay. Remember we were having a good conversation about uh our construction thing, and we were talking about we're looking at why it is important to have separate people working on our projects and things like that. You remember our conversation around that, right?
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
perfectly. I do.
We were able to relate that with the concept of using functions within our code or within our scripts, and why it was important to have these scripts written in small blocks that do specific tasks. And we looked at all of that, and we looked at some of the advantages. We talked about reusability, help in debugging. We looked at the clean code structure, teamwork, and abstraction. So we looked at all of these things. We looked at all these advantages, and we said there were two types of functions. There were two types of function, because looking at the things, and we looked at all the reasons why it is so nice to have functions, and then we looked at the different functions, and we talked about the first set of functions which we were looking at already. uh these were inbuilt functions, and we said there are two types. Normally you have your inbuilt functions and your user-defined functions. And for inbuilt functions, we started looking at some examples of inbuilt functions and all of that. And we looked at some inbuilt functions. We were talking about the ID function. We've been using this a couple of times. We remember we talked about the ID function being where we use it to get the memory location of our object. We have the character function, this CHR, which returns the character of an ASCII value. Maybe it's a number, you pass a number, it gives you, returns the character. And then you know the reverse of that, which was the ORT function, which will return the number when you pass the character. And then we've talked about the input function, which we have been using to take input from the user. Please, there is some noise in the background. Please, can you try to adjust that? We've talked about the type function, which we use to get the type of our objects and all of that put together. These are the things that we've been looking at all through. And so that was it for inbuilt function. That was where I think that was where we we got to. And then we were just about looking at how we can actually create our own functions and things like that. So far, any question before we continue? Any worries, any doubts, any inputs before we go ahead? Shamin, are you comfortable so far?
Yeah, I don't know what my classmates think, but on my side is good to
Okay,
go.
let me pick some few persons. I see a new name. I don't know if it's actually new. Gani Elisha. Gani Elisha. Please, if you can hear me, can you unmute yourself? Okay, Madam Aqua Constance, is everything okay?
Yes, Prof, everything is okay.
Awesome, I love that. Let me pick one last person, and there's this other name, Luis to come. Luis to come. Is everything okay, Mr. Oh, if I miss the name,
Yes.
Mrs. Luis.
Yes, everything
Is
is
everything
fine on
okay?
my side. Thank you. Yes.
Awesome, awesome, great. So let's actually now go ahead and see how we can now create our own functions, okay? Okay, so now we've looked at all these great functions that other people have created. We call them inbuilt. Then let's see how were these functions created? What made them called functions? How were they created? You know, we were able to come down and we said, remember we said, oh, sorry. Remember we said we could say we could use the print function, right? And I say you use shift tab and you see all of these things that are inside here, how they create the variables, the arguments and the parameters. We talked about all of this. So how were all of these created? How did they get here? So that's what we are trying to understand right now. So let's see how they create. So let's read something first here. Let me see what I have here. How to create/define the functions. Without arguments, without return type, takes nothing, gives nothing. Okay, now these are some, I'm just giving some examples of different functions, how they are created. And so we are going to start with some ones that have no arguments. Okay, now, yesterday we actually did define what these arguments were and what we talked about arguments and parameters. Yeah. So let's look at something. Okay, so now please pay close attention. Now this is the briefing. To create a function, this is not by choice. You have to do it this way. You have to use the word def. You have to start with the word def. DEF. After the word def, you have to give the name of the function that you want to create. What is the name of the function? Okay, I want to create a function that adds two numbers. That is the role. That's the job of my function. Remember, we said functions carry out specific tasks. I want to create a function that adds two numbers. So I want to give it a good name so that when people see the name, they should at least, it should be intuitive, right? When you see the name of my function, you should know that, hey, this function that Boris created like this, maybe it's doing, so my me is, yes, Shebina, yeah, we have to write the name of the function. So after using the keyword def, I'm going to put the name of my function is going to be, my function is adding, so I'll just call my function add. That is the name of my function. After creating the name of my function, I am going to explicitly open brackets and close. And then after this closing bracket, I'm going to put a colon. Let's take 2 minutes, no, not 2 minutes, 5 seconds and look at what I've written. I have def, which is a keyword. I have add, which is the name of my function. Then brackets open and close, then colon. This is the syntax. This is how you create a function. Now, this is where we are defining the function. So now we said, now the next question is, what is this function going to be doing? So what is this function going to be doing? So let me see. Let me see the first thing. It says without arguments, without return type, takes nothing, gives nothing. So let's see. This function adds two numbers. Wait, let's confirm what the arguments are again. Let's just what is the difference between arguments and parameters. I want us to flow with the things, how the things are said, so that when we don't mix them. So the values that are declared within functions when the function is called are known as an argument, whereas the variables that are defined when the function is declared are known as what? Parameters. Now, let me go back. So now when you create your function, you have to define the parameters. You have to declare. You see, they say the variables that are defined when the function is declared are known as parameters. So we have to define our variables. What are the variables within the function? So I'm going to come back here to this thing. Now, where do I define these variables? We are talking about variables, so I'm not going to the arguments. So I'm going to show you the arguments, but let's look at the variables now. The variables now, I'm going to just say A, comma, B. I'm going to explain to you. These are my variables. Please pay close attention as we go gradually and don't overthink it. You just define two random variables. We already just know this, right? We know this. It's I can create my variable and call it anything. A equals to 10, right? So it can be any name. It's a variable, so the name can be anything. But we always try our best to make sure that the variable names that we are giving are intuitive. Like it gives an idea to the person or to the user of what that particular variable is expected to be. So for example, if I want to sum two numbers, I can create two variables, number one or first number. I'll just say first underscore number. So I can also call it A, and then I can say, and then I'm summing two numbers and I said second number. Second underscore number, right? This can be my two variables. So I said my function adds two numbers. So inside these brackets, I'm going to define the two numbers. So what am I saying? This is what we refer to as your variables. This is where we have defined our variables, first number, second number. Now, the next thing we want to do is actually write a code that performs the task that that function is meant to perform. So this function is meant to add two numbers. And so I can assign like result, right? Result is equals to, right? Within this function, remember when I take enter, there's an indentation here because we already know what this indentation means. It means that everything that I'm doing here is within the body of this function. So I don't want to put this in quotes, sorry. Result is equals to, I just take first underscore number plus second underscore number, right? That is what my function is doing. So this is the task that my function is doing. It can be anything. It can be anything, 10 lines of code, 15 lines of code. It can be anything. But the end product is that I want the sum of two numbers. So I'm going to print the results. Is that clear? So I've defined my function. Before we go to using this function, let me know whether you understood where we have actually defined this function. Please ask all your questions before we go ahead, because it's going to be technical once we go a little down if you have any doubt. Don't overthink anything. Just make sure you understood all that I've done here. If you have not understood, please ask a question. I'm listening now.
It's clear for me so far, but you wrote print results with S. I don't think you will, if I understand you
Thank
well
you.
so far.
Thank you very much. It's print result. Thank you. That was vigilant. I just wrote an S. Thank you. Any other observation? Thank you for that input. Any other observation? Okay, fine. Also, we have created our function. We have defined our function And now we can now use this function. We can even share this function with somebody to use it. We can even call and use it like we have been using the print function, the input, and all of that. So now, if somebody says, Boris, please, I need the sum of any two numbers. This is what I'm going to do. How am I going to use this function? You understand? So see what is going to happen. Let's just use our input. So so number because it's going to confuse you. So let me just call the first number that I'm taking from the user as A, please. Or let's say we are selling, let's use a more practical example. You are selling in your store, and so you came in the morning, you sold two things, and then you sold two things, and then you want to at the end of the day you want to sum the two things. So let's say item one here is equals to, I'll just use the int and the input function just to make it sweet, right? So that we enjoy what we are doing. And it's more realistic, right? So input function, and then I'm asking you, enter the price of item one. And then we assign that money to that price to item one. So we're going to do this. So we're going to use this. We're going to call this item two. And then we're going to say enter the price of item two. Now, this is, so let's assume that you were just creating this sum calculator and you have made it as an app and you want to give it to the people who are working in the store, so that when they sell two items, they just can get the sum of the prices of the two items, like how much they have sold at the end of the day. So all they need to do is enter how much they sold, the price for the first item, and the money they sold for the second item. And then this program is going to automatically tell them the total amount of money they have sold for that day. And so this is it. So you have told the user, please enter the price you sold your item one, and then enter the price you sold your item two. So name of the function, remember, when you want to print something, you do print because that is the name of the function. So we are going to use the name of the function that we gave it. And I told you, if it is a function, you put it in brackets, open and close. Brackets, open and close. Then you pass the two things that you want to add. So I'm going to say item one, comma, item two. So that is it. So I'm going to run this, and it's going to ask me enter the price of item one. Let's say I sold item one for 1,000, and then item two for 3,000. And so when I hit enter, I get 4,000 as my total amount of money. And so, assuming you wanted to sum 3 trillion plus 9 trillion, you just have to come here. I can go directly and I add 10 plus 20. I can just go ahead and add 10. I pass the first number, which is 10, 20, right? And then once I hit enter, it says it's 30. Oh, I can go this way. They are making this one more dynamic, right? But this is a hard-coded one. So what you need to take home as the take-home message here in the use of a function is that when you define your function, which I know we all understood how to define a function, when you want to use that function, you're going to use the name of the function, And then you are going to explicitly enter the variables that you define within the function. You set first number and second number. So I'm going to enter a first number and I'm going to enter a second number. I'm going to enter item 1, which stands for first number, and item 2, which stands for second number. This first or second number could be anything. It could be A and B. But like I said, it's always good to make your variable names more intuitive. For example, if I go to the print function and I do shift tab, if I go to the print function and I do shift tab, you see that they have named their variables and they've made them intuitive, right? Look at the example. They said this is value. That is a variable. Just like we say first number. They say separator is another variable. So they give sep so that you who is reasoning, who is looking at it, you get the intuition. Because when I'm looking at it, even though they did not say completely say separator, but I know sep, they are possibly talking about something like separate. I see end. So they make it really intuitive. So that when you're looking at it and then they come down and define, they say sep, string inserted between values default as space. You know, we're going to look at all of this, okay? And string appended after the last value, default a new line. So all of these things are the variables, and we try to make them intuitive. So it could be anything. If you don't want your code to be informative, to be intuitive and nice, you can just put anything here. So it must not be first or second number. It can be anything, as long as you respect the syntax the way it has been given. I'm going to hold off here. Any inputs, any confusion, any questions before we continue?
Yes, please have a question.
Wait. Let me turn on my participant page so that I see who is talking. Okay, that is Dr. No. Who is that?
Dr. Kenfo.
Okay, Dr. Kenfo, please. Yes, go ahead, please.
Yeah, please, I wish to understand something. When you use the add function, right? And then you put a bracket, let's say 10 and 20, and then you hit enter, it gives automatically 30. Why are we supposed to put define? Why are we supposed to put that def add before? Meanwhile, using just the add automatically, when you hit enter, will add the two values.
Okay. I'm not going to use add. I'm just going to use any word. It can be anything. Let me say, I just say addition, for example, addition, and I put 10 and 20. I hope I don't have anything like that. Did it work? It says name addition is not defined. So when you use def and you use add, you are telling Python that this is going to be a function. The word def is used it's used to define a function. That it's def as in define. I'm going to tell Python what this line of code means is that I am creating a function called add that is going to take two numbers called first number and second number. And what this function will do is that it will take these two numbers, add them together, and return their sum. That is what that function says. But if I just come and say addition, and I did not define the function called addition, and I just pass 10 and 20, it's going to tell me what is addition. I don't understand what addition is. Because I said add. Add here doesn't mean Python is automatically doing add. I could change this to anything. Please, let me just change this to my two numbers, my something two numbers, two numbers. It must not be the fact that I'm saying that it's add, even my two numbers. I can call this Boris so that it doesn't resemble anything that you're saying. And if I want to use this function, I'm just going to come down here and I'm going to change this add to Boris. And once I run it, I enter the first number 10, enter the second number 20, 30, and I get 40. Automatically. It must not be because I said it was add. I was just using add because, like I said, you want to make your function names to be intuitive so that when somebody sees the name, the person should have an idea of what that function is doing. If I come and create a function and I call the function Boris, does it make sense to you?
No, it doesn't.
You understand? But if I create a function and I say this function is called add, even you now, when you take the function, Shebi, you think you know that this function is adding two numbers, right?
Okay. All right, I have another question.
Yes, please go ahead.
Yeah. That for the when you're in cell, when the function is in cell 5, for example, I thought you had to run it, have an output so that it stores in the system. Before now, you can go to the subsequent cell, that is cell 6, and then you put maybe add bracket 10 or 20 and have an output. I never knew that once the function has been defined, even without running to have an output, it's already taken into account. So it's something which I've learned.
I run it, but it does not give me an output because it is not supposed to give any output. See, I've run it. The execution number has changed to 7, but it doesn't give me any output because I'm defining a function. I'm creating a tool. It's like I'm creating a hammer. You remember when Bestman was saying the other day that you can have a knife and a spoon to cook, right? I'm just creating my knife, and then I'll come down here and I use my knife.
Okay. All
So
right.
if I come down, I just use it. I don't expect an input, right? I don't expect any input. Is that clear?
All right. It's okay.
What is any output? That was good. Any other questions?
Can I just add?
Please, somebody is having some noise on the back. I think that's you, Dr. Kemfo. Can you please mute yourself while we hear the input from? Thank you. Yes, Bestman, thank you.
Thank you, sir. Yes, sir. I don't know. Looking at the function, there are some. Let me just explain from a student perspective. The function is more like telling telling the computer it's being saved rather in memory. So whatever is saved the function as in memory, you can call that object in memory back and use it in that form. And like you said, sir, the name should be intuitive so that you can always remember, or someone else can reuse your code to avoid repetition. I just want to add that in the attributes, you could actually assign values like this first number. Like you say, first number, in case you want to assign it, you say first number equals to, for this in this instance, let's say 10, and second number equals to 20. You can use the assignment operator to do that. But once you start using an operator, once you start using it, you must use it to the end. So most times you want to use it at the last argument, because once you start introducing an operator, they call to sign to assign a value for whatever reason you want to do it, because you might find this in operation, you have to continue using it. So the function, when defined, the attributes, you could just impute the value to the attributes. In this instance, first number and second number, or you could use the assignment operator to assign it. It's just my addition, sir.
Thank you very much. Thanks for that input, Bestman. Once we proceed down, I'm going to explain to you guys more detail what Bestman is trying to reiterate on. Okay, just now that I know that you already understood this preliminary concept, now let's take a next step, and then we're going to be digesting what Bestman has added, and then we're going to see how all of this unfolds. Okay, because I know like you're sitting there are a lot of questions running through your minds like that, and you're just wondering now. But let's, assuming that all of this has been understood, okay, let's take another step, one step ahead. But I'm still going to go back to my notes. Okay. With arguments without return type, take something gives nothing. Okay. Now I'm going to do this. You see what Bestman was saying? Let me bring Bestman's story now. I can do this. Please pay close attention. I can explicitly define what I want my first number to be in my code. See, I can say first number, I can say is equals to 10. And I say second number, I say is equals to 20. Remember, if you look at the definition of arguments, look at what arguments are. The values that are declared within a function when the function is called are known as argument. The values. It says the values. I did not know this definition. Trust me, see, I keep Googling it because it doesn't come to my head that easy. The values that are declared within a function. And if I remember our classes, I told you, let me just add something down here. I remember I said, if I say a equals to 10, oh, sorry, calm down. If I say a equals to 10, I told you that this is the variable name and this is the value. Or in programming language, this is the object and this is the name. So once you declare a value inside here, right? This is called an argument. And like what Bestman was just saying, if I go ahead and I just run this function, and then I call, if I say add, I don't need to pass anything. If I just run it, it gives me 30. Why? Why is it working? Why is it working? Because I said, I have explicitly told my function that first number is always going to be 10 and the second number is always going to be 20. Now, take note, guys, this is a little bit tricky simply because this is kind of some sort of hard coding. Because if this, as long as this function exists, first number is always going to be 10 and the second number is always going to be 20. But we are using this for illustration purposes. And that was why I use this approach over here where you try to make it dynamic, where you can collect this first number, it can be anything, and this second number can be anything from a user. Is that okay? So you can still hard code it and then see, let me, yes, let me do another thing. I can still use this. I do not specify a first number. I'm going to leave first number empty and then I specify a second number. And then when I run this, and if I use the add function, see what is going to happen here. I'm going to use add. And when I go to the add function, what is going to happen is that I'm not going to be defining a second number. I'm just going to put a third number. I'm going to just say 20. Sorry, let me not put 20 so that people start looking at me as if it was the first 20. I'm going to just pass 50 and it gives me 70. What has happened is that it already considers this 50 as this first number. And by default, second number is 20. Because I said here that second number is equals to 20. I said so. Let's keep sitting down. Let's go ahead. There are some other trickish things that we're going to look at once we go down a little more again. But before we get there, let me do another thing. Let me round up with these bullet points that I have here before we okay, now what can happen is, what can happen is the next thing that can happen is instead of just doing this, I can just say I can cancel this, and then I use the word return, like give back, and I use the word return first number plus second number. And if I execute this and I add what is add of, since I've already defined a second number, I can see what is the add of 30, and then I run on the, and then oh, sorry. And it says 50. So return is mostly what you see in your function, right? It's used within functions to point to your output, what you are expecting as your output at the end of the day. But then there's something, I can overwrite this 20 here. Am I going too forward? Let me see. Did I cover that? Yeah, let me just calm down. Boris, calm down because you are running shit too fast. You might confuse these people. Let's just keep it there. I'll come back to it. Now, what you're taking home from this one is the return statement. Okay? It's a return statement. The return, like I said, it points to your output, what you are expecting. Because like I said, I will still repeat myself. The functions performs a specific task. And when it performs that specific task, you are expecting an output after it is done. For example, if your job was to clean my data, if the job of the function, if the function was to clean the data, then you will expect the function to return a clean sheet or a clean data file to you. You can return it in any form. So the return is just like pointing. So like I said, this function was just to add two numbers. So I'm just telling the function that once I give you the two numbers, return the sum of the two numbers. It's English now. There's no coding here. We are just talking grammar here. This thing, the whole of this thing is just grammar. Def, short form of define. If you were going to school and you are typing notes, you'll notice that at times when your teacher is too fast, you start using shorthand. So just consider this as shorthand to define the name of your function, the variables. If you like, you give them arguments. That's up to you. If you like, you want to make it dynamic like this one, it's up to you. I mean, you choose, right? Okay. Awesome. Let me pause again. Maybe there are some questions before I go ahead. I don't want you to get confused. Any questions? Any questions?
Yeah. One question.
Okay. Let's hear
I
it.
just wish to know the difference between result and return. I'm saying so because return sounds like a result, but it's colored green. Yeah, so I wish to know the difference between the result, which is not colored, and the return, which is colored green. Though they have the same.
Result.
They give us the same
Result
result.
is a variable. I'm creating a variable called result, and I'm assigning the value of that variable to this, to first number plus second number. This is a variable. But return is a keyword. You see, I'm not assigning. I'm not using the assignment operator here, Abi. Sorry, I thought the thing return is a function.
Okay. There's no equals to. All right.
I've not assigned anything, yeah. And anytime you see anything green like this, it points you to the fact that it's something that Python recognizes. But result here is just a variable that I'm creating, right? Are we good?
Yes. Thank you.
Any other question?
Can I just add to that question?
Yes, please go ahead.
Because I used to struggle with this. I realized that return is actually used to break out from the function. So once you write the return, any other line you bring under that return that is indented would not be operated. So it tells Python to break out of that particular function if any line of code is under that indentation of that function. So return is more like this is the end of my operation of the task the function is doing. So that's the end. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much for that input, Bestman. That was brilliant. Adding to the fact that when you use it, because I remember I told you guys this can be 5,000 lines, it can be 20 lines, it can be 10 lines. So he is saying that once you use return after all those lines, it's just telling the function, your Python interpreter that everything that I did within this function ends here. So if you add more lines after return, they are not evaluated. Thanks for that input, Bestman. Okay, now that we are digesting the thing, I'm going down. Let me touch another angle again. Please drag your chair and come closer and then sip some water. Let's touch something again. Madam Prudence, the way you're looking at me, you are wondering what this man is doing. Tell me what is in your mind. Madam Prudence, are you there? Kawas Prudence. Maybe she's not hearing me. Maybe we'll kick her out. Okay, let's go ahead. Okay, let's look at this thing like this. You see this thing, I say positional types of. Okay, awesome. I don't know why I thought, now that I know better, I will not call these types of arguments. I'll call these types of variables.
I am there.
Oh, parameters. Thank you. I was just asking you why you were looking at me like that and not asking me a question. You kept that your question to yourself. Okay, now I know better. That's why I'm updating my software. Okay. Now I know the difference between parameter and argument. So that's why I'm updating my software so that I know that I'm doing the right thing. Now, pay close attention. Look at something here. Let's look at something. See. Look at something. okay, this one is not really going to be explicit because I would, it will not really give me the kind of result that I want. So let me do this one like this, let me do another one. Let me create a different function. So this time around, this function, I'm not going to call it add, I'm going to call it subtract. So this function is going to be subtracting two numbers, okay? And so I'm going to take first number minus second number, okay? Minus second number. Okay, awesome. Now I want to explain the concept of positional parameters according to what I understand. Okay, so I'm going to execute it. I'm actually executing this, Dr. Kenfo, I'm actually executing this, so know that this is actually, because if you don't, it will not be stored in memory. So I actually executed, that's why it has an execution number 16. Okay, now that I've executed this, because it's my function that I'm creating, and I call my function sub. That is what I'm doing. So now I want to show you something. So I'm just going to call sub, and then I'm going to do something here. Take close attention. I'm going to say 10, let me just take 20, comma, 10. And once I execute this, it says 10. Now, look at something. Look at something. Where is my style? Should be, this is it. Look at something. I want you to pay close attention to something. Look, it has taken 20 and put it in the place of first number minus 10 and put it in the place of second number. Did I explicitly tell you that 20 was equal to first number and 10 was equal to second number? Did I say that? Oh, you are confused. Wait. There's some confusion here. I'm going to take out this guy. I'm going to leave them as second and third number. So I'm going to run it again. And then I'm going to run it again. Okay, now. So I'm going to clean this again. And then we come back to again. And let me show you. Now, I've said 20, 10, and I'm subtracting. But it returns a result and says 10. But I did not explicitly tell it to take 20 minus 10. But instead, in my function, I said first number minus second number. So if you are looking at it the same way I'm looking at it, if both of us are using the same eyes, it automatically means that 20 was used as first number and 10 was used as second number. The reason why Python does this is based on position. Position. See, first number here is the first parameter that I define here. Look at it. Look at it. Look at this comma. Before this comma, the first thing this way is first number. So it comes here. Now, after this comma, the second thing is the second number. So it comes here. That is why when it came down to the execution, it explicitly takes that first number based on position. Position. It says 20 is first number and 10 is second number. That's why when I say first number minus second number, it explicitly took 20 minus 10. See, I'm going to reverse it. Because you think maybe this man is just saying his own thing now. Let me reverse it. Oh yeah, I'm going to use swap. And this time around, I'm going to swap it and take 10 and 20. See my result. Negative 10. Still the same thing I'm telling you. So this time around down here, it has rather to use first number as 10 and second number as 20. Hope that is clear. This is in terms of position. Now, there was another thing that I said over here that I now want to do. I now can say 10 is equals to 20. I can say now this one is explicitly equals to 20. But then I was telling you that I can actually override this number. This number 20, I can actually override it because what we call in Python, this is a default argument. We are saying that by default, second number is 20, but that does not mean that your second number cannot change. But what it means is that in a situation where the second number has not been provided, then use 20. That's what it means. Okay, let's see. So I can go ahead and then I just say sub. Come here. So I'm going to say sub. Then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to say 10. And then when I run this, you get minus 10. But I did not explicitly say 10, 20 like I did over here. Look, when I define this function here, I did not say second number was equal to 20 or first number was equal to anything. But I just defined first number, second number. But then when I was passing the argument, when I was passing the arguments within the sub function, I explicitly now said 2010. But in this case, I did not say 2010. I just said 10. And remember the concept of position, it automatically now sees these as 10, and then by default, this becomes 20. But then, can I still go ahead and override it? Yes, I can. I can say 10 and I say 40, right? And I pass this, it gives me negative 30, meaning that instead of considering second number as 20, it has used 40 because I have explicitly overwritten it. So by default, this is 20, but if there is something else, then 20 is overwritten. That is why that brings me to this. If I write the print function again, and I open my parentheses and I take shift tab, you see what I'm talking about. See, it gives you the first variable, which is called value, but it does not assign value to anything. So that means by default, let me not use default. That means you have to define this one. You have to give this one. And then it says there's another variable called sep, which I said is separator. And it says by default, it actually assigns this one. Look, this is an assignment operator here. It assigns this one to space, meaning that if you don't have a different thing as a separator for your print function, it will automatically use space. And they say it here. String inserted between values. Default is a space. Default is a space. But if you want something else, you can now put there something else. You can define it and say, okay, I want sep to be something else. Please, I want you to take this very attentively. And the same thing with n, the same thing with file. These have been defined as default values. But there's one thing here that has not been defined, which is the value, which is what they actually expect you to print. You have to explicitly enter that one yourself. But then all these are called default parameters that have been defined within your function. The last, if I'm not mistaken, but not the least, positional keyword. I mean, just the keyword variables. What was I even saying here? Just confusing the whole thing. But well, I think I've touched on most of the important concepts. Let me hold on and ask if there's any question or any input or any disagreement. Let's have a discussion. Dr. Kifa. Kifa this time around. K-I-F-F-A.
Yes, sir.
How are you doing today, sir?
Yeah, I'm there.
You decided to keep your questions to yourself. It's not nice. You should be asking me the questions now so that we can be having conversation.
Yeah, no question this far. Hoping that during practice, maybe questions will come up.
You don't have a question?
For now.
So are you ready to answer my own question?
Maybe.
If you don't have a question, that means you understood what I said. Oh yeah, come and answer my own question, please. Come. Come and answer my own question. Are you there?
Yes, I'm there.
Okay, come and answer my own question. I'm going to do this. What is going to be my result, Dr. Kifa?
Okay, the first number is equal to 2, which is predefined, and then the second one is 20. if you sub 4 minus 2,
please let me use K for your name, okay, equals to. So I'm going to put your own answer. Tell me your answer, then I'm going to put it.
Okay.
Look at it. Remember everything that I just told you. Just think. They give me your own answer. Give me any answer that comes to your head now. Let me write down your answer. You're open to changing because you have some other people on the line. Like I'm just looking at the participants now. I'm seeing a lot of people that I'm going to come for them right now. So just give me your own answer. Okay, while you are thinking for your own answer, Madam Louise, please be thinking your own answer. Mr. Dr. Kemfwa, be thinking of your own answer.
Yes, Dr. Kemfwa, -2.
Okay, let me put your own as
NK.
KE. Okay, say -2. Okay.
Yes.
Dr. Kifa, I'm still waiting for your answer. Mr. Jamin.
Constance -2.
That's Madame Louise, right?
Madame Constance, Aqua.
Okay, Madame. Okay, Constance. Oh, no, let me not give somebody an answer back. So, Mr. Jamin, I am still waiting for your answer. Your name is here. No answer.
Yes, mine is -2 as well.
Okay. Wait, if someone has a different answer from -2, please tell me your answer. I will not call any name. But if your answer is different from -2, tell me. Dr. Kifa, do you think -2 is the right answer?
Yes. I think -2 is the right answer because.
Okay. Okay. Now, thank you. I like the because part. That's where I was going to. Why?
Yeah. The first number is less than the second number by, if you take 4 minus 6, you will get -2. That's what I think.
But I already defined first number here and second number. So what happened?
I think you simply
override. You have overwritten the first and the second number because you have defined a new first and second number.
Exactly.
That is perfect. We have overwritten these 2 and this 20 by passing these. I told you that the fact that I put 20 here is just default. I can change it if I want, right? So these are called default, but the default doesn't mean that that is what you want. We are just saying in the place where there is nothing given, use these values. But if there is something different from these values, please give what you have. That is what happened here.
Okay.
I'm happy about that. Is that clear?
Yeah, it's understood.
I'm waiting for that question next time. You owe me a question.
Okay.
Are we good?
Yes, we are.
Good.
I don't forget my debt, Dr. Kifa. So if I come for you next time, you have to ask me that question, or you are owing me that question.
I will.
Oh, great.
Can I just add to this?
Yes.
Definition
Go ahead, please.
of argument.
Yes.
Most times it is defined to avoid the function returning error. So when a function is defined, is initiated, and they know that there are some arguments or attributes that the user may not impute. So that argument would be given a value so that when it is called, and for instance, maybe we have up to 10 arguments because some functions have up to 10 arguments. So maybe perhaps just only 2 or 3 of them. So the other ones will be given a value so that it doesn't return error, because if it's not given assigned a value, then it will return error. in the case of print, like you highlighted, you see that the other arguments like flush and the rest were given a value, and so that the user doesn't really have to impute that, because those are kind of default settings for use. So even this subtract function, now we can assign it 0 to both first and second number. So if a user perhaps doesn't give it any value, it will just return 0, and that way it will not call error when you are running it in your code.
Madam Constant, did you understand what Bestman said?
I didn't really follow up, especially when he was talking about returning the number to 0.
Okay. Let me get another person. Then we're going to explain, okay? Madam Prudence, please, if I don't call your name, maybe it's right down though. Don't be vexing with me. Some names are starting with Y. That's right down there. So before I could okay. Madam Prudence, did you understand?
I didn't.
You didn't understand. Madame Vandolin, if I call it and it's not Madame, don't vex so. There's this name I've not called. Milton. Are you there, Milton? Milton, I'm seeing a name. Yengong Milton.
Yes, sir.
Oh.
Yes, sir.
Are you? Can you follow? Are you
yes,
following
I'm following
what we are doing here? Okay. Did you understand English is
yes,
not my
sir,
field.
I am.
Did you understand what Bestman explained?
Yes, I understood.
Oh, you understood. Okay, great. Wow. Then the last person is Madame Vandolin. I hope Madame, yes.
Enjoy the movie.
Yeah. Madame Vandolin, was it clearly explained?
Oh.
Oh, you're on mute, but you're not saying anything. Are you there?
Oh, I did not understand.
Oh, okay. Now, he said something that was so nice and very, yeah. Okay, now let's explain what he said, okay? Let's explain what he said. He said something that was very nice.
I'm sorry,
and very,
it's
very,
because it's because I'm in and out of internet. I'm like 1 minute in, I'm 1 minute and one. So I'm hardly following anything. I'm just like,
please buy Orange, okay? Orange is helping me. It will help you too. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
Okay, let's explain. Let's explain what he said. It's very important that we all. So this answer -2 was correct. That was just the confirmation there. Okay, let me explain what he said. Okay, now see, I'm gonna copy this function again and I'm gonna run it down here, but I'm gonna tweak a few things. Okay, for example, I will not define second number. Okay, I'm not gonna define second number. Is this second number I shouldn't define? Maybe okay, I'm not going to define second number. You understand? Let me not define second number, and then I'm going to run this function. Oh, where did something go wrong? But I did not. Oh, is it by default? Is it okay? Yeah. This thing is funny. By default, your undefined variable should be the first one. So I'm going to send this back to 20. And then this is the guy I'm going to cancel. Okay. So I'm going to run this. I just learned something here now. It crossed my mind. I'll explain to you. Now, looking at this function that I've defined, we already know, because we've said this and we are already big programmers now, we've already said that we will be expecting an input. And if there is no input here, we will have 20. Now, I'm going to just run the sub function without explicitly passing any input. And then I'm going to run it. It's going to give me an error. Because why is it giving me an error? See the error. It says missing one required positional argument. First number. It even tells me that it is first number that is not there. So meaning that if you create a function, let's assume we create a function and it has 10 different parameters, these plus 10 other things. And the 10 other things, you also create them like this, like you do not assign them, you do not give them default arguments or the default values. You do not assign them default values. That means the person who is using that function has to pass those values, all of them. If there are 10, you have to pass all of them. If you don't, the function is going to return an error. Why? Because when you create a function and you leave it like this means you expect the user to give the value that is supposed to hold this position. And so, Bestman was saying, in most cases, right? In most cases, you can just have, since we are subtracting, or in the case of subtraction, for example, we can just say, instead of just leaving it blank, we can just say, since maybe we'll just put equal to 0, and then we set all of this to 0, right? Since 0 minus 0 will still be 0. You understand? We can just set these values to 0 as placeholders, or just as placeholders. So that whosoever, so that if you come and you forget to give an input, for example, now I'm going to run this again and I don't give an input, and I'm just going to say stop. If I run this, it gives, you see, it gives me 0, but it doesn't give me an error. We are going to look at some of these things when we go far ahead, because we are going to be talking about how to handle some errors and things like that, some syntax kind of things. Yeah. But you see, this is just telling me that I've explicitly set these values to this, but it doesn't return an error. See, this is error. Doesn't return an error. This way your code will still run. Oh, sorry. What did I say? It returns a 0. But this way your code will still run, right? Your code will still run and it will not block anything, but just that the output that you get is not expected because you did not give it any values. But now if I explicitly now come and say 20 and 5, and then I run it now, it's going to give me 15. So that's what Bestman was saying, that these arguments, these default arguments, are used to prevent errors when you're running your code. In case, okay, let me do the print function again, for example. If I do the print function, I do shift tab again, you're going to notice that if you did not know, you might not even know what sep means, n means, or maybe file.sc. For example, I don't even know what this one is talking about. I don't know what flush means. Trust me. I might want to read down here whether if possible flush the stream or something. I mean, I don't even care about this. Most of the times I'll care about the value. You know, the value means this one has not been, look at this one. It has not been equated to anything. That means I must pass this one, right? And then sep, you see, sep means it has been defaulted to space, but I can change it to comma, right? And all of that. So, I don't know. That is the idea behind it. And so even if I just want, that's why you see when we just see print, I can just say print, let me see. I can just say print hello. You see this hello here stands for this value. And then I can now change my separator. I can now explicitly say sep, right? It's now, instead of it being equals to space, I can now say it's equals to a comma, right? I can change this value, right? And so I can now print hello. So hello here is this value, and sep now, instead of it being a space, I've changed it to a comma because it was, and it prints hello. So if I wanted to say maybe hello man or something like that, I don't know. Oh, I was actually supposed to start this. How I was supposed to hold it? With a star or something? Just the illustration, but let me not get confused because my head is now, if I want to go look at why it's not giving me the expected result, but just know that you could change this value, and that's why I'm not getting an error here, because what if you could change this value and you could change this. I wanted to print this thing and actually see
why not just remove the inverted commas if it will run? Just remove the inverted comma, just leave the comma alone. How is it? I don't know if it will run.
I don't think it's a string, right? It will not run. It will give me an error, right? I think so. See, it gives me an error.
Okay. It's a string.
It's a string, yeah. There was something I saw something somewhere. I have to wrap this thing, I think with an X or an asterisk or something, I forgot it. I remember there was one of my sessions, a student asked that question and I forgot I looked for the result, the answer, but I forgot it. But you actually have to wrap this around something and before you get the expected result. I'm just forgetting. But I think I know this one for new line. Let me see. There's this other argument here. Shift tab. Shift tab. There's this other argument n. So I can change n to nothing. Can change n equals to, now it's actually having new line, so I can change it to nothing. Maybe I just leave it like that. And then let me see. And then let me see. The best way to do this is I can do this with a list, right? I can say a list is equals to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Or maybe for example, then please don't look at what I'm doing. I'm just trying to illustrate this thing. So I can say print L is going to be my value. L is this one. I'm going to stand for value, right? And then I can say set noun. I hope it gives me what I'm looking for. Set is equals to this time around is going to be a comma. Yep. And then comma, and then I'm going to say n is equals to nothing. It should be nothing. So, and if I run this, I expect, if I see there's something I was supposed to print this thing on a new line. There's something I was supposed to do. I'm forgetting. Am I supposed to wrap this in an X? Now let me solve this problem. Now I'll have to use, how do I get that result? Using a model, an AI model, maybe something like that. Yep. This should quickly help me. Did I copy the list? Where is it? Okay, I want this list. Okay, where's that thing? I want to get something. How do I print this list with each item on a new line? There's something I have to wrap it with Shift Enter Control V. So I'm gonna run this and I get I don't want to loop. Oh, I don't want this one. There's something. There's another way. Oh, forgotten. I don't want to look through. I don't want to use map. I know this one's will work. There was just one simple thing. Oh, I'll check it out and then I'll let you guys know, okay? I'll check it out. There's something I have to do there. You just have to, I think I was put an X or something like that. Let me see. Use a more simple way. Maybe we give it something. Oh, this is it. Thank you. This is it. You see, I was telling you that there was an X somewhere now, but I wasn't thinking of it, but this is it. Yeah, this is what I was looking for. So let me come here and show you what I'm talking about now. Thank you. Desmond, did you learn this one?
Yes, so I've learned that one. We learn every day.
So now you see, it prints everything on one line and it separates them with comma. But then if I change this to what was that thing? New line. If I print this thing to, if I use this one like this, right? See what is going to happen. Oh shit. Separator is let me put space. You see, when I change the separator to space, you see these things change automatically, but I'm still not getting these things on the new line. I don't know why. Can I just cancel all of these and leave it as default? And I see it equals to new line. Is that right? New line.
That star is telling you to multiply it by 1. Whatever is the value. Say by 1. L. Star means multiplication operator.
I don't know why they use that default, but this thing was supposed to bring this thing for me on a new line. It has actually worked for me. You know, I've used it sometime and it worked and it gave me you see, for example, if you run this, okay, let me just copy this one like this and see. Maybe I'm the one typing something wrong there. It actually prints each thing on a new line. Oh, sir. The separator was a new line. It was the separator that was the new line, not the end. I didn't get it. Okay, so you see, you can actually change the value of the separator. See, the separator here was the separator here is space. The separator. So I'm going to use this in 3 different locations, right? So I'm going to print this thing in 3 different ways. I'm going to print it again like this. Let me just forget about the end for now, and I'm going to just say set is equals to, this time around, I'm going to use a comma. So this time around over here, I don't care. So I'll just leave sep as the default value, which is equals to a space. And here I'll change the value of sep to a new line. Okay, so now this is what I'm going to happen. So I'm going to, when I run this, you see how this is output looks like. When I run this one, where's that one? So when I run this one, you see how this output looks like. When I run this one, you see how the output looks like. Right? You see all the 3 instances, when I change the value of the separator, it gives me different results. So this comes a long way to explain the fact that this was just a default, but you can change it. And if it is not defined, you still not get an error because by default, you use a space. That's why I could just happily say print and I don't define anything and I run it, it will still print. Oh, sorry. There's something changed. Print, sorry. And you still print without any problem because by default, it's going to use this, and this. And that's what Bestman was saying, that when you define these things, it's also to help the user so that you don't get an error if in case you forget to define any of these variables. I think we've dwelled on that quite enough. Unless you have a specific challenge, you can ask. Otherwise, please tell me to go ahead. Jamin, can I go ahead? I think Madame Louise came. Madame Louise, can I go?
Yes, Prof. Boris. Okay, Madam.
Madame Louise, can I go ahead?
Yes, you can go ahead.
Awesome. Thank you guys for that permission. So I now can happily come and end all of this. Okay, now, this is great. We've talked about functions, and this has come to the end of the things we're talking about functions now. Now, let's look at something slightly away from functions, but still in line with what we've been talking about, and being able to make your code reusable and, having it have specific things. Please, can Jamin mute yourself? Jamin, please mute. Thank you. Okay. Let's look at something. Now, there's something called a module. These are the words, okay? These are the words. And I always like to define them before I make a mistake with one, and then it throws me into the game. So these are the challenges that we will get. What is the difference? Because people will call them different names and they can interchange them, but I don't know between a module and a package. Because or a library, people can call them package or a library. Well, I think the word package is better. Okay. And a package in Python. Let's use this one. Okay. In simple terms, a module is a single file containing Python code, whereas a package is a collection of modules that are organized in directory or hierarchical order. Okay, this is very clear. I mean, this is plain English. So listen to the definition of a module. In simple terms, a module is a single file containing Python code. So what we are saying in essence is that, my people, that this thing that we have here is a module. Is it the one we are working on with this one? Okay. What we are saying that this is a module. Let's not go too far. Because they say in simple terms, a module is a single file containing Python code. They did not say Python code that goes up and come down or level. A simple file containing Python code. But then, because we are not just stupid to go and create any Python file and just now start calling it a module because we want to be excited, in most cases, you have them being organized in such a way that people can use them. They can now import these modules and then use them. Now, let me come back to my, am I here? Okay, good. Let me see what I have here. This is nothing but a Python file with modules and, how can I say, not with, I just gave a very bad definition here. How can I use a module to define a module? With functions. With functions and variables defined. I still did not spell my defined word. I think the best word is predefined. Okay. That is a module. This is nothing but a Python file with functions and variables predefined. Two types of modules, predefined modules and user-defined modules. Just like functions, they are predefined modules. I still did not spell this word. It's pre, not P-R-E. So predefined modules and user-defined modules. And just like, we are more interested in user-defined modules because they are predefined modules. So examples of predefined modules are, you have the math module, right? You have the OS module, you have the time module. There's even, so for example, okay, now, I've defined a module. I just said it's a Python file with code. So I don't want to over-label myself on that. But then there's something I want to, that is very important. I want to escape this and run it as a markdown. There's something that's very important here. Please pay close attention. Now, they are already predefined modules. And the advantage that comes with modules is that modules already have functions. Remember what a function is. These modules already have functions because they said a module in simple terms is a Python file with code. That is the simple definition. But then these ones that are inside your Python code, they're inside your Python, like Python, that are called predefined, they already have functions that you can just call up that module, take those functions and use them. These modules, which is just a Python file, like this one that we are having here, this is a Python file. Python codes, and most of the times it already has what? Functions that have been written. And we know that we were able to create our own functions, and we can just call the functions and just use it like that without having to go ahead and write a code that controls the function. We just go ahead and use it. So these Python files that we call modules also have functions there already that we can just go ahead and call that function and use it without any code, without us writing all the long code that has to do with that function. An example of such a module is the math module, for example. It will have, so before we go to that, now, I said you can go, I keep using the word, you can call it. What do I mean by call it? Am I supposed to come and stand and then, as I'm sitting in front of my computer, I just shout, hey, module math, can you come? Hey, come on. No, that's not how you do it. Please, that's not how you do it. You have to actually use English here, and it is called the import statement. It is called import statement. You have to use import. Import. Am I spelling it correctly? Import. This is English now. If I want to bring something from somewhere into something, is it not import? This is not, please, this is not programming. This is English we are speaking. Import. And then I can say maths. I hope that's the name. Is it maths or math? Should we? Well, let me confirm the name, please. If I type it wrong, it's math, not maths. Import math. Okay. When I say import math now, see what is going to happen. Import means, hey, math, come. That's the meaning of import. Because I told you math is a Python file like this one. That's what it means. That means somebody created a file like this one and then gave it the name and called that file math. My own is called functions and modules. That's the name of my own file. So the person did not call his own math, his own functions and modules. He calls his own Python file math. That's what we are hearing. And so that's the name of the module, because we said a module is just a Python file with code. So I created my own file in my Jupyter Notebook, but this my own file is not math. I called my own file functions and modules, but this person who created this one called in math. And I said, this module has functions in it that I can use. See, within this my own module that I've created here called functions and modules, I have created a module, a function inside called sup. And I also created another function called add. Shibi, we did that, yes. And I also define variables. Where did I define a variable? Did I define a variable anyway? I can just come and define a variable. Oh. I can just define a variable. I defined this is a variable. I defined a variable called and it was a list. So it's a module. But then if I want to call it, but please don't get confused. I'm just making it very simple so that you don't get confused. But we'll go ahead and screw some places so you don't mistaken something for something. We'll go ahead and tighten the knot. So now, if I say import math, that means I'm calling that module that someone has created and called it math, and it's in Python because it's predefined. It's in Python, so I'm going to call it up and I'm going to run this. You see? It did not give me an error message, meaning that Python understood what I was talking about. It understood the person that I was calling the name. It's one of Python's char, so they know the name of the person. So I'm just going to show you the functions that are in that. So I'm going to do dir, and I'm going to do math. And then I'm going to run this code. Okay. You see? These are the different functions that are in that math module, just like our add and subtract. See, let's see the kind of function, the people who did a lot of mathematics. Dr. Kemfwa, did you do other BB mathematics in school? Are you there?
Yes, I'm there. I did some.
You remember
it's
some?
Been long.
You remember something that looked like this? Sine, cos,
Yeah.
log.
Yeah.
So now, do you understand now that this is actually a math module?
Yes.
This one, LCM. Oh, you remember LCM?
Yeah.
Anybody here should know LCM now? Lowest common multiple. So there are functions there that you can just, so if I have some numbers and I want to find their lowest common, their LCM, I just call this function now and use it directly, just like we were using the add function. So you understand. You don't have to go and stress. You know this one. You people say pi. Pi radius square. Now, I said you have functions and you have variables. So if I can, now this pi now, you know that pi is not supposed to be, pi is a value, right? People who remember pi, see, if I come and say what is pi? Pi is a value. What is pi? Yeah, what is pi? It's pi. Sure. What am I doing? I said, what is
pi, no E.
Oh, what is what? Oh, sorry. What is EI? I don't want this one. You see, before I finish it, they already give me the value down here. 3.14, blah, 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 blah. It's a value. So do you think that this can just be defined as a variable? Yes. It's possible, right? Best man. No man, just call it a variable. Must you write a function?
Yes.
So I said this module also have all these things are different functions. This E, and this is too a lot of mathematics. I'm just showing you an example. Yeah, exponential. Plenty things here. I don't even know. Infinite, I don't know, what is hypotenuse or hypo, what do I don't know. But these are different functions. You might never get to use them if you're not a mathematician, but if you are writing a code that needs a lot of mathematics, please, this is the kind of function that these are the kind of modules that you will be working with. So you can now import this module and then go in now and use these things. Okay, now we have seen how to go and call the module. We said you don't call it by just say hello module, come here. No, we didn't. We just show you how to call it now. This is where we call it. So don't go and call it here. Oh wait, this is where you call it by using the word import. Okay, now that we have imported, now you're asking me, Prof, now if I import, how do I use this thing now? How do I use this thing now? See, I'll show you 3 ways. Okay. The first way, look at the first way I've imported. I've said I've imported math. This is the simple thing I've written. So pay close attention. I've imported. So if I want to use pi, for example, if I want to know what is pi, I'll have to do something like this. I'll do math, the name here, this name. Then I do dot, this dot. Then I have to use this pi, this word pi, because it's here, this one. Don't come and be looking at me. And I'm expecting this to be a variable, so I'm not putting it as a function. Aha. It gives me the value. Let's use this one. This one is square root. So if I want to find the square root of what? Is it square root of 9? Is that how they do it? So I'm going to say math dot. I'm going to use this word. Let's put it there, and then I pass the thing that I want to pass the square root of. If I do shift tab, you see, you people already know this thing now. See, let me expand it. It tells you that it returns the square root of x, so you have to pass x. It has no default. So you have to pass x, so it returns the square root of x. So if I come down now, I have to put x. What is x? Maybe 9. And it says it's 3. And it's putting a sign here that it's returning it as a division or something like that, because, and it's therefore by default, it's going to be a float value. Okay. This is the first way to import it. This is the first way. Now let's look at the second way. I want to import the same math module now, but I want to do it in a different way. You know, when I was in the quarter, they were calling me Boris, aka Tall Boy. That is how they were calling me, alias Tall Boy. So most people in the quarter know me as Tall Boy because they said I was tall. I don't know if it's true. So this is how, so if you wanted to call me in my quarter in those days, you will come and you're saying you're looking for Boris, nobody will know you. So I want to import my math module, but I don't want to call it math. I want to give it an alias name, aka. Yeah, so I'm going to say import math as, see, I'm going to use the keyword called as. And then I can just say as M. You see, they were saying my name is Boris, but people were calling me Tall Boy. So it's aka. This is what this means. You say import math aka Tall Boy as math as M. So this is called alias. Alias name is called, the concept is called aliasing. So you don't have to make a mistake. And now there are two things here. One, why would you alias? Just imagine that the name of this function was mathematics, not maths, for example. That means anytime you want to use it, you have to type mathematics here. But it's too long now. You have to be typing mathematics. So what you do is that you have to give it an alias name to shorten all this typing here. So I want to import math as M. So if I import math as M, there are two things. I've said the reason why you want to do that. The next thing is that the moment you give it an alias name, you cannot use this name again because it is not recognized. The moment you give it an alias name, you cannot use the original name again. You must use the alias name. It's not choice. You must. So I'm going to run it, and I'm going to do pi. I'm just going to do m.pi. Now, once I run that, I get 3.1. I can do m dot, that thing was what, square root, SQRT, and then I'm going to pass 9. And then I run that, it gives me 3.0. Just like that. You understand? This is called aliasing. Then the last way to import is, now, this is the last way to import. You can say from maths, you use import. Then when you go through this method, I can only import square root. I can say from math, import square root, if I only want to use square root. So if in my project, I don't need all these functions, I don't need all these things, I can just go ahead and only import square root. You know, it's simple. I can say from math, import square root, right? I say SQRT. Is that correct? SQRT, yes. And then I run it. And so if I want to use this SQRT, I don't have to use math again. I'll just use SQRT, and then I pass in bracket 9, and then I run it. It gives me 3.0. I don't have to use math again. Please take note of these 3 different methods, because I can use either of them interchangeably. You don't have to ask me, Prof, why did you not go and put this thing there? Be careful. There's another thing that I can do here. If I want all these functions here, and I don't want to be using the name of the module, I can do this. Let me just copy this one, okay? Please take close attention. I'll say from math import, instead of using one, I'll do SQL, I'll do star. What's I study? Okay, I'll do star. I say import star. Star means import everything. Most of the times in programming languages, when you use star at times in some positions, not concept, oh, please don't go and confuse me and misquote me. Most of the times, you see star means all. And if I do this, I have imported all. I can just go ahead and say pi and I execute it. I don't have to say math.py. No. I can go ahead now and I say sqrt, and then I see a 9, and then I run it. It goes. I can now say sign. What's a 90? Oh, I got it. Right? You see, I don't have to explicitly use the name of the module. But if most of the time you see this one, you see import pandas as PD, import numpy as NP. You see, those are called alias names. You give them alias names. It's always, I don't know which one is good practice, but either ways. Let me leave it there. Any question?
I think it's good practice to maintain the name other coders use, like numpy as NP and pandas as PD. Sign. If you change them, the other people can use your code, then that's an issue. And, and again, you can also input, I think you can also import packages, because modules are in packages, and
yes,
functions and classes are in modules in that order.
Yes, because we define it here, Abby. You see, a module is a single file containing Python code, whereas a package is a collection of modules, just like he is explaining. You have packages, inside packages you have modules, inside modules you have functions and methods, and inside you can also have variables. That is the hierarchical order. So one man is big man, another man is small man. Okay. We've touched on a lot of things. Please, if you have a question, feel free to stop me. We are running out of time and I have to finish this topic before we go. Okay. Now, these are different modules. You can now go and look at what is inside all of these things. Please don't ask me what is there. So now the last thing is we are going to do user-defined modules. We are going to use user-defined modules, okay? Before we go there, please, let's take 1 minute and take a break. I'll be right back. Okay, I'm here. Do we have Toby on the call today? Hello, Toby. Toby, are you there? No, maybe he's busy. You have him on the call. Okay, awesome. Okay, let's go and create our own modules, okay? Let's see how we can create our own module. Not a tattered one like this where we have mixed things up like this. Let's see how we can create a clean one. Okay. So let me take a step back here. Now this is for me to do it with Jupyter Notebook. This is what is going to happen. Please, I'm going to drop down. I take a new thing. I'm going to call it a text file. Text file. It's just a plain file, and can I write this somewhere and bring it here? Yeah, let me define it somewhere and bring it here. I'm going to come back to this text file, okay? So let's see, we want to create our own module. So want to create our own module, and we're going to have let's call our, let's create a module that has this mathematics function, maybe something like what we have there, but it's something slightly different. I hope you can all hear me. Let me not be talking to myself. Can you all hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. Great. Okay. So now let's see. We want to create our own module. Okay, let's say it's going to have functions and variables and things like that. Just an example. So I'm going to call it, so let's say it's going to have the add function, right? So we're going to do def. We are defining a function called add, right? For example, and can I just copy the one above, please? I don't want to type a lot. I'm already tired. So just permit me to be copying and pasting, okay? Maybe I'll just use, I think I have the one with the return statement. Okay, great. So let me just use this one. Please, I'm just creating my functions. Okay, I'm not doing anything, so don't come for me. I created my function called add. Let me not give it, let me just leave it like this, okay? Just be like that. And then I'm gonna do another function called sub. Let me do subtraction. Okay, let me do this one right. I'm just creating my module with functions. Just like you see in that math module, we had a lot of functions there, right? I'm also creating my plenty functions. I can do another one which says more. Let me just define another subtraction, or which is more, right? And this one is going to take first number and second number. And I just copy this. So this one is going to multiply and it's going to return. I'm going to return the products. And then let's just do another last one. Let's define it and call def. And then let's call this one diff. Okay, let's say this one is just dividing. So this one is going to take into numbers. If two numbers, and then it's going to return. Oh. See, I'm going to do first number divided by second number. Okay. We can just create we can just go ahead and just create a variable and say number maybe equals to 10. Yeah, let's just do this is a variable. We're just defining a variable, anything, just like pi, or yeah, just like pi, right? We can just define a variable. Okay, awesome. This is a function, so I'm going to copy this, right? Come here, paste it here. Now look at what is going to happen. Please, I want you to pay close attention to what I'm doing here. I'm going to give it a name, but something will change. Look at the extension you have here, .txt. So just like the name of that module, which was maths, I'm going to call my own champion because that is champion bash. Champion. Then something is going to change here. I'm saying dot. Look at what I'm going to do. py. Dot py. That is how Python files end. They end in .py format. They said a module is simply a Python file. What makes it a Python file is this thing like this. It's not because there was code inside. It's because of this extension. Please, I want somebody to confirm and say it is understood.
It is understood.
Awesome. So what makes this thing a Python file is not because we have written code inside, please. It's this extension. That's how the computer knows that this is a Python file. So when you write your module, it must be a .py file. The name .py. Then I'm going to take OK. See, you see the moment I just save it, everything changed. The colors and everything have changed. Right?
Yes.
So now I've created that file. Let me close it and I'll show you where that file is. So the name is champion.py. I'm going to close it. I can delete this CSF. You see, I did not execute that CSF. So people should not come and say I executed it. Then you start thinking that was where I did not execute it. So if I come back here, this is it. This is that file that I've created, champion.py. So I'm going to come back into my this thing, right? And then I'm going to import that file. I'm going to import that file. So I'm going to say, I can do either champion as ch. I can say import champion as ch. Oh, no module name champion. Oh, I say champion, not champion. Champion. So I've imported that module that we just created. And if I do dir of ch, and then you're going to see it has the at, the diff, the mul, the number, and the subtraction function. So if I want to add two numbers, I can just say ch.add, and then I put 2,5. If I run this, it gives me 7. If I just ask what is, if I just do ch.number, which was the variable that I created, it says it's 10. If I want to multiply two numbers, I say ch.mul. I'm using the multiplication function in this case, and I say 10, 2, right? It gives me 20. If I want to divide two numbers, I say ch.diff. That was the division function. So diff, and then I pass my two numbers. I could be dividing 20, 10, gives me 2.0. Please, can somebody say it's clear?
Okay.
This is a user-defined module. We have created our own module. So you can now go, see, you all are big programmers now, go and create your own modules. Like this person who created math, you can go and create your own module. I've created my own. I call my own champion. Go and create your own. You understand? Now you know how to create it. Is it clear? Let me check my out. Let me see the work for today. Okay, I think I've covered everything. This is all about functions and modules. If you have a question, you ask. If you do not have a question, then we will happily end the class here today. Any questions? Any inputs, disagreements, agreements, contradictions? Please, we have
I did not really
the next 10 minutes.
I did not really follow up how we got to save that untitled text page to champions.
I'm going to take a step back and show you. I said I was going to use a text file because I will just drop down here and I use, you know, when you want to create your notebook, you come and take Python 3, right? But I'm not going to do that one. I'm just going to take a text file. And then when you click on this untitled, it's going to change the name here now. You type whatever you want to type here. But the most important, it could have still been untitled.py. But the most important thing is that it should be a .py file, please. Exactly. The reason why I came and typed the code here was simply because I was using a Jupyter notebook, so it was going to help with my indentations and everything like that. It was going to make things easy for me. Is that clear?
It's in my network now.
Did you understand? Are you there? No, she's gone.
Where is she? She's gone.
Yeah, sure. Any other question? Any other worries? Any other troubles? Any other wahala? Toby, are you there now?
Oh, you calling me?
Oh, yeah. I first of all was checking if you were in class. I didn't even know you were available, so I just wanted to shout out to Toby.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I was on the call when that's why I muted myself.
Oh, great. Happy to have you, bro.
Thank you.
Mhm. Any other wahala? If there's no other wahala, okay. Then we'll happily drop it here for today, okay? See you all next Tuesday. Bye-bye. Happy weekend. And a prosperous new week.
Okay.
And the time for you, Prof.
Good night to everyone.
Yep.